Okay, so again, welcome everyone. While people are joining in, we can start with the short introduction that we usually do at the beginning of our events about what is DiSC. And today we are very happy to welcome Arkadiusz Radek, who is going to talk to us about space, natural catastrophes, natural disasters, and UX. And he's representing ICEYE. He's a design lead there, so super interesting presentation. But again, before we jump into this, just a bit of housekeeping. This event is recorded, as you can see, so hope everyone is okay with that, and it will be available later on YouTube, on our channel. Please mute yourself during the presentation. I see when you enter, you're actually muted automatically, which is great, but yeah, let's just respect the speaker. You can write your questions though anytime in the Q&A section. We will have a Q&A at the end, so you're more than welcome to ask questions when they come to your mind. And last but not least, please enjoy the event because we are here to learn from each other and having a good time. So again, about designers in space community, I guess most of you already know. That's why you are here. We are a network of designers and creatives in the space sector, and we specifically focus on promoting and advocating for the strategic use of design in the space sector. So we believe design is an essential part of this transformation towards more commercial and user-centered and sustainable practices in space, which is crucial for new space. And some of our activities, involve going to actual events in person, and we also do events online like this one, where we connect all creative profiles and space professionals. So we kind of attack it from both angles, from design and space angle as well. And again, what we do is expertise. We have some design consultancy services. We help scouting for connecting talents, promoting job offers, because we need more and more designers in space companies. So we are trying to promote that as well. As I mentioned, we have events online and offline in person. And we have also courses which are, educating about user-centered methodologies specifically for the space industry. And you can find out more on our Medium. We have articles from our members about how they got into the space sector, some case studies, some reflections about the state of design in the sector. So a lot of content you can discover there. Again, you have recordings of our past events in our YouTube channel. And ta-da, we have a new website. So that's very exciting. Finally, we managed to bring it to life. I'll be posting on our WhatsApp group about this later on to get your feedback on it as well, but you can already have a sneak peek. It's live, so we invite you to browse it. There is much more content, resources, information about the community and activities that we do. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. And how can you get involved? Well, we have a WhatsApp group, so please feel free to join that one and continue the conversation over there. And we have a membership form, so it's free to join DiSC. We invite you to fill in the membership form, which is a short form where you just have to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about what you do and what would you like to do in space sector. So this is how we can identify you later on as well. So please connect that with any of these channels. So again, new website, LinkedIn, Medium, Instagram. We are over there as well. And yes, now we can continue to the presentation. So again, Arkadiusz Radek. This is super exciting because we've been, trying to invite Arek for some time to this presentation. Arek is a seasoned design leader with 12 years of experience. He spent the last 4 years at ICEYE, which is a Polish-Finnish company who has the world's largest synthetic aperture SAR imagining radar constellation. And this is very exciting because this is one of these companies that you can call them like unicorn, space unicorn company, which is growing quite a lot. It's grown quite a lot in the recent years. And design has been an essential part of this growth as well, as you will see from the presentation. And it's not very much spoken about, the role of design in space companies. And I think this is an excellent example of how it can be done. And we should, promote and have more of this kind of examples to show hopefully in the future as well. So yes, Arek spent the last 4 years at ICEYE developing products used by natural disaster response teams worldwide. These products help mitigate risk before an event, adjust response during, and assess loss after a natural disaster. He's also a creator of Fundament, a product design newsletter, which we also invite you to follow and to join. So, Arek, if I can call you this way, the floor is yours.
All right, thanks a lot. I'm super excited to be with you today or tonight. It's 7 p.m. for me because I'm based in Warsaw. But yeah, welcoming you guys wherever you are joining from. I will share my screen now. And as Ola already introduced me, I'm a senior product designer, solutions at ICEYE. This is my official title, but unofficially, I'm leading a small group of designers at Solutions. And today I will be talking about natural catastrophes, space, and UX design, hopefully. Yeah, okay. A bit about the company itself, for those who never heard about ICEYE. ICEYE was founded 12 years ago. It was founded by Rafał Modrzewski and Pekka Laurila. The guys met at Aalto University in Finland, and they really wanted to make a SAR satellite, which is significantly smaller than it used to be, because in the past, those satellites were around 1,000 kilograms, 1 ton, and they wanted to make it around 100 kilograms. And this company is known for making those satellites smaller, and the key to the success is a fleet of multiple microsatellites observing Earth on a task basis. So we are not observing Earth constantly, but on a task basis. And as Ola said already, ICEYE operates the largest SAR constellation in this part of Milky Way. So far, we have successfully launched 72 satellites. And currently, we've got more than 1,000 people on board. When I was joining 4 years ago, it was a little over 400. So we grew in this last 4 years significantly. Our main offices are in Espoo, Finland, Warsaw, Poland, Valencia, Spain, Athens, Greece, and also we have an office in the US. In the last couple of years, due to the global geopolitical tension, especially since the invasion of Russia and Ukraine, we kind of changed the focus to more the military side of things. And we started providing satellite systems, not just data, to our customers. So a customer can come to us and order satellites. We'll build them, and we will just sell them the whole system, and they have their sovereign capabilities. But this is not something that I will cover today. Just needed to mention this, that there's this organizational shift. But still, the core of the organization is Earth observation. And we do this with our SAR satellites. And for those who don't know, SAR stands for synthetic aperture radar. And a satellite like this is different from optical satellites very much because it doesn't need a light source. So basically, we can capture images 24/7, regardless of weather conditions. And they can produce images like this. So this is Gdańsk Bay. This image was taken 3 years ago. It was a bit colorized in Photoshop because those images usually are black and white. And they can also come kind of colorized. This is Warsaw. And this is a special mode that we have, which is called CSI. And it stands for Colorized Sub-Aperture Image, which is really great for detecting man-made structures. Like, for example, you can see a tank hiding under a tree. Yeah, what are the SAR use cases? There's many. You can monitor oil spills in the ocean. You can monitor activity of dark ships. You can monitor border or inside activities. illegal construction sites, you can monitor deforestation, and also sea ice in offshore operations. And that's really the origin of the name, because the first thing that our founders wanted to monitor was ice falling off glaciers and the movement of ice in the Arctic region, and that's why the company is called ICEYE, ICEYE. And this still is kind of in our DNA. We still have those climate-related efforts. As an example would be our cooperation with the WWF Finland, where we are helping them protect whale migration routes in the Arctic region. Speaking of the company itself and the design, the design team, there are three main lines of business, and I don't know if you can actually see that video. Maybe not. We have,
it's not loading, but it's okay.
That's weird. Yeah, but quickly, we have three main lines of business. It's missions, it's data, and solutions. And I obviously represent solutions, so just want to mention that there's no like global design team, but each team has a separate design group. But we do kind of work together sometimes, and we quite regularly do critique sessions, and we share what we do. I don't know why this video doesn't load, but anyways, ICEYE Solutions, what is this about? So we task our satellites, we get the data from satellites, and we combine it with a bunch of other data and produce near real-time analysis of floods, hurricanes, and wildfires. Of course, this is a little more complicated than how I just described it. And there's a little over 160 people in solutions right now. These are product managers, engineers, NatCat and GIS experts, customer success people, sales people, and of course, product designers. And if you think of a hurricane or a cyclone or a typhoon, depending on the region, it can be really devastating when it hits the land. Just like, as an example, Hurricane Helene in September 2024 that hit eastern US and midwestern US. It has resulted in more than 250 fatalities and near $1 billion in economic loss. And we've got a product that is based on change detection, and it allows our customers to assess damage after a hurricane hits. It's just a couple of hours after it hits. Wildfires can also be super deadly. If you think of the LA fires that happened in January last year, that was more than 400 fatalities, 200,000 people were evacuated, and over 18,000 buildings were destroyed in those events. And SAR is great at detecting damage. So we have this product that does exactly this. We are detecting which structures / buildings were destroyed due to a wildfire. And we also have a flood product, or actually a whole suite of flood products. A flood is the most common peril, and a flood is also our most mature product and most advanced product. And as I said, we have the whole suite of products which help us forecasting, nowcasting, and assessing the damage post-event. And these are some statistics for 2025. If you look at them, it wasn't really a bad year. In fact, it was around 30% less events than average from the 20 previous years, and maybe 1/3 affected people compared to average from the previous 20 years. You might think it's not that bad, but it doesn't mean that the floods are past us, because the climate changes are too far developed and they probably can't be reversed. So what we can do, instead of trying to reverse them, we can at least try and mitigate risk and give tools for more accurate and faster response to people who do work on the ground. And when I think of a major flood that happened in the last couple of years, this particular one comes to my mind, since I live in Poland, and 2 years ago there was this big storm Boris that hit Poland and a couple of other European countries. And that was the first event in this part of Europe where we were able to show our products and really use them to help the people who fight natural catastrophes on the ground. So this is the flood early warning, a warning that we issue a couple of days before a flood can happen. And this event was the record amount of images taken by our fleet for a single flood event. And during 12 days, we have collected almost 450 images, which were later used to produce 8 releases of Flood Insights data. Flood Insights is the name of the product. This is our flagship product that not only shows where the water was, what is the flood extent, but also shows the flood depth, and also assess the damage on individual building level. During the whole event, we were also providing data from our third product, which is called Flood Rapid Impact, and this one is especially helpful for the disaster response teams because it shows the picture of the flood almost in real time, because it has 6-hour refresh rate. So the Polish firefighters have been using our insights, and these were invaluable in fighting flood in almost real time on the ground. A different example, similar period but different region, Hurricane Helene that I already mentioned. Yeah, and you might wonder if this work is fun at all, if you look at all those damage, or is it rewarding? And to answer that, we would need to travel back in time a little to early 2022, when I first heard of this company and applied for the job. And during the interview, I received this question: if I mind working on an app that only 10 people use? And I know that many designers would probably turn it down. I didn't. I was kind of exhausted of working on something different in the past. But still, I wanted to try something different. And the headline that ICEYE had on their website back then was hugely inspiring. When I saw this, I said, wow, this is something that I want to do. I never had such an impact as a designer before, despite my 8 years of experience back then. So I joined the team, and together we have built an internal platform that enables all this fantastic NatCat analysis that I just showed you. And this platform is called Oya, and this is not some random name. Oya is an African goddess of storms. Oya is a geospatial platform that our internal natural catastrophe analysis teams use daily, almost 24/7, because the weather doesn't stop on the weekends. And it became the core tool in solutions department. It enabled our teams to scale massively to other perils than just flood, or to map more events. And what's most important, it enabled them to do it with very high precision and do it timely. If you think of product success, or as I think about it, there are three main ingredients. There's vision, strategy, and execution. And speaking of vision for Oya, we wanted to build a tool that would be essential, centralized, and it would make lives of our analysts a bit easier, because believe me, this is not an easy job. This is super stressful, because you have to deliver a map of flood or hurricane on time in almost real time. And the strategy, in short, was a list of a few bullets, such as ditching other tools like QGIS or ArcGIS, of all the data that we have to a central place, make some processes easier, make basically everything faster, generate less questions, and make it fun. And for me personally, it wasn't easy to start. It was basically a new domain, or even two domains, because it was space and GIS. And I bought some books on GIS. I started following experts on GIS on LinkedIn. I attended some events. I was doing anything and everything and how these things work. And at the same time, I organized my routine around Product Trio. I don't know if you guys ever worked in the Product Trio, but this is basically a designer, product manager, and tech lead combined as a single body that drives the development of a product. And I really wanted to stay close to product and engineering. And I also focus on facilitation and set up some standard UX workflows and some metrics. And my first 3 months in this company was an intense research focused on understanding my users and their needs. Basic stuff, right? But I went extra mile. I went really deep to make it right. Even utilizing office parties to show my interest and learn something that my users would probably never tell me in a standard interview during work hours in the office. And I'm a big fan of cross-functional collaboration. I believe that we can't do magic without it. Like, trying to achieve everything solo probably wouldn't get you far. So I think this cross-functional collaboration is a key. Let's get back to our equation for a moment. Because the product success also means impact. And impact is something we all as designers love, and we chase it because it's sometimes really hard to present it in a case study in our portfolio, right? Especially if this monetary aspect is not that obvious or clear. So here's how I did for Oya, and maybe we'll be able to replicate it at some point for your case studies. So basically, you start mapping with something that feels familiar and obvious to a designer, such as a user satisfaction metric. And for us in Oya, after measuring for a couple of months, it was more than 8 out of 10. Pretty good. Also, the high volume of positive comments. Later, you check with other metrics outside of your discipline. And for example, in the ops team, ops means operations. These are the analysts that actually do the analysis of those events. The analysis time was reduced by some amount. And also, we managed to make the time needed to generate those delivery files significantly shorter. There were fewer arbitrary decisions made by analysts because we simplified the process, or we baked in some processes into the tool. And sometimes it's not even an actual metric that was ever tracked. but it could be some change that was observed by the teams, such as no need to switch between tools, which led to better focus. This really grows, it doesn't end. So, reduced risk of human error, better analysis, which was a result of increased recall metric. We also increased the capacity of the ops team, so it led the team to analyze several flood events at one time. And it doesn't really end up on just the team of analysts. There's the impact that grows on our customers. So, as an example, the insurance customers increased trust, and they adopted data faster, and it allowed them to better allocate their funds for claims. And their customers, the insured people, they had their money, their payouts faster, which was leading to less stress during the tough time. But which eventually ends up showing that the work that we done with the product team has a long lever on millions of people affected by NatCat events every year. And that's really rewarding. And if you see those headlines that this impact is real, you know that the impact is real and is visible. For example, those well-known media, such as the Washington Post, that use our data to cover major NatCat events. And also, this data that we produce is trusted by insurance companies as well as the governments and decision makers, such as the Prime Minister of Australia. On that picture is being briefed by our data back in 2023. And this impact doesn't end up here on Oya. I spent my first 2 years on Oya, but then I switched to this solution suite. This is a platform that our customers use to consume the data that our operations team produce. And it's now being used by over 100 customers and a little over 1,000 users. So, it really grew from 10 to 1,000, which is great. It's a different thing now. I will not speak a lot about solution suite. It's a different story. Maybe in a couple of years, I will tell you more about it. I will now switch a little to tell about this design team that we have. So there's just 2 designers in product design solutions. It's myself and my colleague who took over Oya 2 years ago. And we are a part of product management team. We are led by a senior director of product management. And this whole team is part of the product and engineering organization. So we work really close to engineering and product, which is great. And myself and my colleague, usually we work in this product trio setup daily, but from time to time we serve also these other teams that don't have designers. And then it's almost like an agency model. This setup might feel like not ideal, but believe me, it is really great because being close to product allows us to have this business mindset and understand what are the needs of our customers. It might be a small team, but I would say without hesitation, it's well organized and we have big ambitions. And that's why some time ago we agreed on a set of principles that guide all of our efforts. And as you probably expect, the number one is about our end users and the importance of their roles. And regardless if they are internal or external, we assume that whatever they do, the decisions they make have eventually a big impact on people affected by floods, wildfires, or cyclones. There are 6 more of those principles. It's business for all, so we solve business problems first. We value cross-functional collaboration, so our process is really inclusive, and we invite non-designers to that process as well. We want to be timely, so we fail fast, and we use these learnings in producing better products. Our tools sometimes aren't super beautiful or arty, but they work. Curiosity is one of the company values of the whole ICEYE, and it's also super important to us designers. I think, like in general, curiosity should be important for all designers, no matter if they work in space or not. And the last one is about AI. We use it as everybody else these days, but we don't forget what's the heart of the proper design process. Speaking of the process, we also sat down at some point and mapped our design process out. It's really simple. I think it feels familiar if you look at it. But believe me, it helped a lot in communication with non-designers and gain some trust in our team. All right, and the long-term game for us. We are really small group of designers. It's just 2 of us, but as I said, we are ambitious. And our ambition is that design eventually fuels innovation. And I can already confirm that with some smaller successes, this is already happening. We have run and facilitated a couple of strategic projects that added tremendous value and clearly showed that design can be a strategic investment, not just a cost or decoration. And what you see here is the design leadership framework. Highly recommend checking it out. It was developed by Katarina Koberdam. I met her in person in Berlin last year, and I attended a workshop on that. And this is really great, and it helps a lot in assessing what's not working in your team and where you want to go strategically with your efforts. So it's really cool. We do this assessment every 6 months, and we identify the things that we want to work on, regardless of daily projects that are happening. So yeah, driving innovation is our North Star. We're really close there. Impact on the ground will always be this most rewarding aspect of working here at ICEYE Solutions. And then knowing that what we do has a true meaning and somehow helps millions of people every year either get evacuated or at least make it less stressful when it comes to submit claims for their damaged houses to their insurers. It's really driving us. I don't want it to sound like we are on the ground fighting floods or something like that, but what we do, I believe, is really meaningful. And that's it, really. I tried not to speedrun. At least we will have some time for questions. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. Yeah. We have questions.
Yes, thank you very much. I raised my hand. Thank you very much. Super interesting. And also thank you for sharing some of your personal stories of how difficult it was to enter a new industry, because I guess many of us can, are familiar with this feeling when you enter a new project, a new industry, or a new company, and you have to, as a sponge, take in as much as possible. So it's this step is never, it's maybe underestimated sometimes, but super important. And also, yes, very interesting to see, even if you have limited number of users, later the impact, goes later on with indirect users who perhaps don't use your tool directly, but are impacted by it, like the insurance example. Very interesting as well. Okay. Great. I have a question. You mentioned that a little bit in your presentation, that your ambition is to drive the innovation, fuel the innovation, and that you are very close to this. Can you tell us a little bit more about this path of, the ICEYE has grown a lot and rapidly in the recent years. So how has the role of design evolved as the company scaled from a startup into, as I said at the beginning, sort of a unicorn organization in the space sector, because the growth was very fast. And you mentioned at the beginning that you were a sponge, kind of trying to learn everything about GIS and SAR. But if the organization also learned something from designers, who kind of you managed to effectively roll out some design tools or research approach or visual communication, or this facilitation skills. So this the evolution to design towards this innovation driver. Walk us a little bit through that.
Right. Yeah. So as you said, we have grown rapidly, and like it's really hard to believe how fast we are growing in terms of people and the offices that we open and the customers and all those contracts that we sign with the customers. But I wouldn't say that design was the main factor for that. There's probably more factors that allowed us for growth, such a substantial growth. But I would say that it was a long way. I joined the company 4 years ago, and back then it was just 3 designers globally. It was a small global team, and no one felt as a strategic partner to their team. So I guess in the last couple of years we have made this change, but also we made it because some other people in other departments joined the company, and they enabled us doing that. Because as an example, in solutions, we kind of have to make this shift from a sales-led organization to more product-led. It's not fully product-led. It probably will never be, because we are a B2B company. But if you think of the sales and product spectrum, we are now kind of in the middle of it, which is cool. But it took us some time to do it. And also, as you said, I at least believe it is true that the other guys, non-designers, learned from us how to use design to make certain changes. For example, using facilitation and running projects, and because of the natural curiosity and trying to make the good thing in a good way, kind of.
The natural curiosity, it's a very interesting one as well, because it's something that connects on a very universal level with designers as well. And perhaps it's also, I'm thinking loudly, connected with this, in the end, bold decision by ICEYE to have their own product, because you mentioned actually, it's your core products that you developed, the OYA and later the solution suite.
Yeah.
So that's not very common actually, because as you mentioned, many companies are using third-party, ArcGIS or other solutions that are already available. So this is already a bold solution. I guess it's also very important for design to be at the stages of the conceptualization of such solutions. So looking back at your first years at ICEYE, those decisions about developing own products and how it is shaped, what surprised you most about designing products for disaster response teams, or what are your biggest learnings?
Yeah, good question. The biggest learning, which I probably will always remember, and I share this with other designers when they ask about how does it feel to work with 10, 15, 20 users. You know all of them, you know their names, you can sit next to them, you can have a drink during the office party with them. You basically know almost everything about them. This is not helpful at all,
There's pressure on you, I guess. More pressure.
There's the pressure, and you don't want to let them down, but they might have different opinions on things, and you want basically to make them happy, all of them, and make a nice product that they can use, they can enjoy using, and something that actually helps them. And this is really difficult, I would say, to balance all those needs. So it's not just, I'd say, in a typical scenario where you have some stakeholders and product manager and maybe some voice of the customer.
So abstract persona, no? You actually have a person in front of you.
Yeah, it's very real. I can talk to them.
Like a personal level connection in the end,
Exactly. So it was difficult, but somehow I managed to not make them hate me over the years, which is great. And Oya also grew substantially. And I would say in the very beginning, the pace was super fast. I mean, probably it is true for all the products. In the beginning, where you start from scratch, it's extremely fast to make something, right? I remember that in the first couple of months, that the team was able to push the production even couple of times a day. And currently, because there's this huge complexity and the couple of different teams submitting code to this repo, it grew from a couple of times a day to one time, couple of weeks. So
and the agile. I don't know if you work in agile or it was more organic in that sense.
Yeah, but I must say that even though that currently we have over 1,000 employees, we still consider ourselves or the organization as a startup, or this we try to think about us as a startup, which is really helpful because it cuts off all the bureaucracy. We just do stuff relatively quickly, and then eventually ask for forgiveness if we do something wrong, but it really helps.
Cool. Let's take some questions from the audience. We have Gianmarco asking, he's curious about what are the current limitations of your design function. For example, I understand you do also strategy, but how do you distinguish your scope from the product management team? So you mentioned you work in this triangle, no?
Product trio. Yeah, very good question. Product trio.
Hi, thank you, Alexandra. And I also wanted to say thanks a lot, Arkadiusz. Great presentation. Very nice to get some inspiration from you. I'm trying to turn on my camera, but it doesn't work. But anyway, thanks again, and thanks for picking up the question.
No worries.
Nice to meet you, Gianmarco. And trying to answer your question, I'm really lucky that I have such a great colleague who is a product manager working with me, because he really listens to what I want to say, and it's also important to say that like the whole product team that I work with is focused on one goal, and they all enjoy working on the product that we develop, and which this really helps. They are really excited about what we do, and sometimes it kind of those roles blend. Oh, sorry. So, as an example, this PM and I spent a good couple of months last year to think about multi-year vision for the solution suite, which ended up in it's a slide deck, but it really shows where can we go in the next 5 years, and we managed to present it to the senior leadership team in the beginning of this year, and the reaction was very good, and that's something else I consider as a success of strategic thinking as a designer. So I'm not someone who just wait for the Jira tickets for the next week or quarters, but I try to envision where can we be in the next couple of years, and they let me do it, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Every organization would let their designers mess up with strategy.
Yeah, it's a level of trust as well, and that's needed. Hey, thank you. And I will skip to the last question. I mean, we have more on the chat, but this one is particularly interesting, I think, from Natalie, which I think is connecting from NASA JPL. Wonderful presentation. I love how you presented on the impact of your work. I'm wondering how you think your process might have looked differently if you were starting now instead of 4 years ago in the age of AI. Very interesting question as well.
Yeah. Well, when this whole AI thing started popping up a few years ago, Claude became a thing, and it lovable last year, and everyone started playing with those tools, building prototypes, and so on. I remember reading a tweet that there's this agency that basically reversed the whole process. So they start with the prototype really fast, and then they take it to Figma or whatever, and they polish it. And I was like, they're crazy. Currently, we do that, and even we let non-designers do that and come to us with their ideas, and then it's on us to judge really if this is good, how this can be improved, what are the flaws. So this process is a bit maybe different today, but no, the heart of it didn't change, right? You still have to think about the business need, the needs of your users, and you have to do some discovery. You have to keep your users and customers in mind. Maybe you just do it a bit differently, but they can be taken out of the equation. But I also wouldn't tell that today this process is super faster. It maybe lets us see wider and explore more options as we go. But I wouldn't say it makes everything significantly faster. Sometimes it's even
faster doesn't mean better, no?
No.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question from Roxandra. You mentioned real-time data. Do you always have access to real-time data captured by ICEYE satellites? Does that mean that the revisit times of the satellites are short to enable this feature? or do you use some sort of intra or inter-satellite links for communication? So maybe you can just repeat that, how the constellation works and the tasking process.
So yeah. Well, I said that Flood Rapid Impact, which is this product that the disaster response teams use during flood events for this nowcasting, because it has this 6, sometimes 8, depending on region, hours of refresh rate, which is really cool. Like if you have fresh data from satellites every 8 hours, that's huge. Like I don't think that anyone on Earth can provide data faster. So yeah. At the same time, I would say that we are adding more and more satellites to the constellation, but we also need to keep in mind that there are other customers using the constellation, and there are some needs of other departments, such as missions. So we would like to have more satellites. Of course, it would enable us to do different things, which I can't really mention today, but it's not that bad.
I think you also mentioned this phrase near real-time data. So it's not exactly real-time, no? It's like near real.
It will never be real-time because you have to take the image and you have to send it to Earth. So that there will always be some delay, even if you do even if we'll be able to do some computation and analytics on the satellite itself, it will still come with some delay. But maybe that's future, that we will be able to deliver every hour or every half an hour. Who knows?
But much more satellites, I suppose. Great. Okay, we have Davot. I hope I pronounced it correctly, from Catalonia Space Studies Institute, asking about how you gathered needs from real challenges and end users to translate them into an instrument through the design phase. So you mentioned, the research and that personal connection you have with your users. So how was the process?
Well, basically...
Can I say something? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Sure, yeah, go on.
Hi, the question was from my side. Yeah, and you pronounced my name correctly. It's Davot, yes. Well, as you read from the message, I'm from the Institution of Space Study of Catalonia, and we are also in the phase of designing satellites, small satellites, but for Earth observation in optical range. And we are dealing with the needs of end users. And because we do something that is called mission as a service. So we first collect the needs and requirements from the ecosystem, from real end users, to understand their challenges, and then design the satellites, the cameras, the area of the spectrum that we need to collect based on their needs. So I was wondering to learn a bit more about your way of doing this, no? Because radar is a bit more technical. Maybe you would have specific needs among other end users. So it would be nice to hear, to see how you manage these. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks for the question. Well, probably building a satellite as you do is a bit different from what I did, because when I came to ICEYE, we already had we had satellites, right? And for me, the process started with shadowing the people who were GIS experts and people who knew a lot about floods, basically the main experts. And they've been using different tools, and they tried mapping floods using QGIS, ArcGIS, and different sources of data. And basically, I started by shadowing them. I've been doing some audits. I've been talking to them and trying to understand what is super important in their work. And it wasn't really, it wasn't only about the users, but as I shown on the slides, I was also doing some interviews with stakeholders. So they also have some voice. Yeah, I don't know if you're happy with that answer. Sorry, I never built hardware.
Yeah, but it's only fair because you mentioned that you joined ICEYE when they already had the satellites. So maybe that phase was done before they start designing the first satellite, no?
Yeah, but I would assume that 12 years ago, when Rafał and Pekka tried to make the satellites smaller, they probably they were not looking for the voice of the customer. They were trying to pursue their personal goal. We want to make it smaller. We want to make it work. We want to make something that would take images, and probably it came later in the process. But it was a bit different because there was no microsar satellite back in the day.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for the answer. As you said, this we are actively looking for similar experiences from companies and institutions that they are dealing with the gathering and collecting information and needs from end users. So to design the instrument based on the needs that they're going to have. So this is the, let's say, journey that we're in now. And this is the reason that I raised this question. And thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And just one comment on that. I have to admit that probably developing software is much easier than developing hardware, because you can fail fast with software, right? You can build a prototype with AI in hours and then go to your customers and show it and ask them, hey, is this something that you would use? And they would immediately tell you, and you would have feedback loop, which is very close. But if you build hardware, probably takes a lot of more time and effort.
Yeah, so, exactly. That's true.
In fact, we, from the Designers in Space community, we have one course which is called User-Centered Requirements for Space. So if you're interested, it's the kind of going through the process of, building something, a product, through the, looking at the user requirements. So we can talk about this later.
Yeah, sure. Will there be a follow-up email so you can share this information as well?
Yeah, I can follow up with you, and please feel free to. I can actually present the screen so you can have the membership form here, and join us on WhatsApp, the group.
We're already in touch with ICEYE, so through some use cases we have requested dataset, and we have the contact point. So maybe I will pick up there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to show, because again, we are a bit over time, but I just want to ask you one last question. So I'll actually combine two questions from the chat. So we have Kaira and Giri asking about a little bit entry points to the space industry. So Kira, I think, is transitioning from psychology to UX research, and she's asking for recommendation of any experiences, projects, inspirations, perhaps. If she's interested to transition into high impact industry like this. And Giri, similarly, it's transitioning from mechatronics and finance background into space. And what would you advise? What advice would you give to someone trying to make a similar transition into space industry?
Yeah, so sometimes people ask me how I got into ICEYE, and I say, it was quite random. Like one of my friends sent me a job offer, not the offer, the advertisement, the job advertisement that they found online, and they said, "Hey, you're into space, kind of. You're a fan of space. Maybe you want to join them because they are in Warsaw." And I said, "No way." I couldn't believe that there's a space company here, but I applied and I joined them. And that's the proof that even people who don't have past experience working in space or similar domains can get into those companies, because you probably are already an expert in UX and you are been hired and paid for doing your thing. It's just a matter of learning this new domain, as I explained earlier, or trying to explain. It takes some time, and it is for people who are not afraid of learning new things. And it takes some effort and time you will never become a domain expert, but to get onto the level where you can use this knowledge to actually making something that resonates. And, switching from psychology into UX, I kind of feel that this is natural. My colleague actually transitioned from psychology to UX, and that was great. We probably already understand
rich background as well. Yeah, exactly.
So,
okay, we are over time. So the very last question, and we are going to finish then. So from Tim, based on the graphic you shared, there might be a fair higher number of PMs compared to designers. Do you work with all the PMs? And are there any challenges around ownership and silos when it comes to access and application of the data? So I guess it's the collaboration with PM,
Yeah. So as I said, we have these two core products that have some user interface that is either used by internal or external users, and that's where we sit daily in those product trios. But there are more product managers managing those parallel teams. So each product that I mentioned, like this wildfire product or hurricane product or this whole suite of flood products, they have their dedicated product managers. So we also work with them, and using our design skills, helping them make their products more accessible to the customers, and everything is kind of intertwined in our organization. So I wouldn't say that we have silos. Luckily, we don't.
It's very rare, actually. But again, with the startup culture,
it is quite rare. But thanks to the way that we are organized as a team, we don't really experience that. So kudos to our director of product management.
Well, thank you very much. It was super inspiring to hear from you and from your experiences. Thank you very much for asking great questions and for the interaction. And once again, we invite you to fill in the membership form, to join the discussion on WhatsApp. We can continue discussing there. Arek is also on our WhatsApp, so if you have any further questions, we can move the discussion to the group. Thank you very much, and have a lovely rest of the evening or the day.
Thanks for having me.
See you
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Arek.
Thank you.
All right. See you.